Well, I asked Arthur the other night when we were watching the game in its entirety, did Winnipeg's O-line, or did Winnipeg take the Lions lightly? And we were tossing around, and I think we came to the conclusion, Arthur, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if they had taken the Lions lightly, you'd have figured it out by the third quarter, wouldn't you have? Like, these guys are actually coming a little harder than we thought. So if you're the Winnipeg O-line, you dig in tight, no? Or do you just continue to play listlessly like they look to be, or confused?
I would say there were times they try to wrestle back momentum.
Yeah.
Right. They had some spurts, right? But it was like second down, and then Lions would get a sack.
Yeah.
Or there'd be a knockdown.
Yeah.
Or there'd be a Winnipeg penalty.
Yeah.
Or like even on like when Winnipeg was on defense, they made a good play. It'd be second and long. Maybe Lions got a procedure call, but then Vernon would find Hollins. Like Hollins had like at least 3 to 4 second down conversions, and second and long. So Winnipeg did try. I don't think they rolled over by any stretch of the imagination. But BC, whenever they got challenged, most of the, I think maybe all of the times, they came out ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I again, I go back to the D-line, right? Because there, like Arthur said, there were many chances where Winnipeg tried to get back into the game, and the game was still within reach at this point. Yes, they couldn't maintain momentum into the halftime, because we took their field goal, and then we got a touchdown, right? But coming out of halftime, I think they were taking us seriously already. If they were not taking us seriously, after halftime they would. So they
would have been woken up at halftime at the coach's minimum. Shea would have said something. You're right.
Coming into the third quarter, I think they were trying, but our D-line wouldn't let them. We wouldn't give Collaros any time. He was always scrambling. He was getting sacked all the time. So our D-line completely dominated their O-line, and I think that to me is the big story. Our D-line just dominated. And how many people were we rotating? We had quite a few players.
There's 8 or 9 D linemen on the roster.
On the field starting is Betts, Bernard, Banks, and Barron. Then you rotate through Cherry, Siddiqui, Tahemi, and Dubai.
Yeah.
So that's 8.
Yeah.
Minimum 8 right there.
So they're
Varga's a linebacker. So sorry.
Yeah. So they're fresh. They're fresh. They're and I think what happens as the game progresses, they're playing off each other. Like, okay, you got a sack. I'm going to get a sack too, right? So that that just plays into that dominance factor.
Well, Winnipeg only there's many facets of their football team. Great football team where they can wrestle back momentum.
Yes.
So special teams like Grant can easily kind of give him a big jolt of momentum.
Yes.
Their defense, they can get takeaways, sacks. They dominate.
Yes.
Typically, they would dominate.
Yeah.
The line of
give
scrimmage.
the offense the ball back in great position.
Yeah.
Or they would get a takeaway. But, like the Lions didn't. You got to give Adams credit. One throwaway almost got picked off, but he didn't really force any passes.
Nope.
When the Lions were up 3 scores, I was noticing that Adams he wouldn't force throws. You didn't need to, right? You're up 3 scores. You're taking low risk plays. You don't want to give Winnipeg any momentum.
Yeah.
Nope. Don't give them a foothold. You are right.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree with you, Arthur. Because you're right. In spite of our defense dominating their offense, we've seen in the past many times where the other facets of the Winnipeg team can wrestle momentum back, right? But in this game they weren't able to. So that's
Do you remember when we were talking that night, Arthur? We kind of likened, when the Lions were 4-0 or 3-0, and the Winnipeg Bombers were 3-0, and they came in here as the underdog.
Yeah.
And they set a message or set the tone. The opening kickoff gets run right back down our throat for a touchdown. And every return by Grant was so scary, it affected the entire kicking game. And Winnipeg played on a maybe half or a third of the field.
They were doing those
player.
pooch kicks.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to
They
kick
were
off.
scared.
Exactly.
It
You
was
were scared,
already in
yeah.
their head.
Yeah.
This game, we were in their head. Just like you said, you keep hitting Zach. We're in his head. We're getting by. The offense, Adams is making smart plays, big plays when we need it, second down conversions when we need it.
Yeah.
That's keeping the, now they're in the defense's head. And I haven't seen any special teams plays yet, but from what I saw when we watched the game, special teams didn't want to be left off the sheet.
Yeah.
They need to. They had to be in Grant's head because Grant just looked like he quit. He didn't care anymore. Other than that long return or longish return towards the end of the game, he didn't look interested.
Yeah. No, our coverage in this game was a lot better than what we've seen before.